All right, we're back with another Q&A video, and I know most of you enjoy this type of content. It's a much needed break from all the chaos happening in the world, and I thank all of you who've posted questions. Let's begin. How frequently, if ever, did you meet with the family's administration? It would be assumed that the consigliere was the most accessible. I've spoken about attending meetings or gatherings at least twice a month at the Lucchese Social Club up in the Bronx, and all the administration members were present. Would you ever consider doing a video on sports betting, explaining half sheets, layoff bets, and Costa Rica? I've explained exactly how half sheets work in previous videos, and also spoke about Costa Rica as far as offshore betting. As to sports betting, I'll leave that to other people while I remain in my lane where I'm the only driver. Is the commission still relevant in this current era of the American mafia? Does it even exist as a functioning entity? This is a topic I've also spoken about before. The commission of years ago no longer exists. In its place are certain bosses who meet if need be. Put it this way, I think if a commission meeting was held in present day, the FBI would have it transcribed before all the bosses got home. Does a member always have someone with them, like an associate to rely on all the time? Or are there plenty of guys that ride solo? No. If a member doesn't want associates around him, that's his prerogative. It varies. Some members have a lot of guys around them, and then some have few or none. How is it viewed if someone turns down an associate position? Would a wise guy be offended? Anyone can choose not to be on record with a person or a family. If anyone gets offended, that's on them. That life is not for everyone. So when a guy gives an indication it's not for him, it shouldn't be viewed as an insult. Actually, it's a blessing. Here's a question sent to me outside of YouTube. Did you know of any Camorra presence in New York or indeed anywhere in the US? None that I personally knew of, but that doesn't mean there weren't any around. A great deal of Italians come from Naples, so it wouldn't surprise me. Did you ever meet Kyle Ragusa? If so, did you know him to be a Gambino member? I never met him. I know he was around Andrew Marola's crew and was indicted with him years ago on a racketeering case. It's possible after his release in 2012 that they straightened him out, but who knows? Did you ever eat at Bamonte's restaurant in Greenpoint, Brooklyn? I never ate there, but did meet Johnny Sideburns there one afternoon to discuss something. I've always heard Vic and Gas as boss and underboss of the Lucchese family, but who is the consigliere? And why do you think or believe that individual is never mentioned? Is it possible they just didn't have one at the time? They did have people in acting consigliere positions. Ettore Coco and Neil Migliori were two in particular, as well as Frankie Lastarino. You've mentioned previously that it was possible for a captain to have no crew. Was that also the case for a soldier? Could he report directly to the boss? A captain with no men is typically for a guy who's on paper, parole, or federal probation. And yes, a member can report to a boss or one of the administration members. I heard you don't associate with any of those former members, which I greatly respect. But I'm curious to know if you would ever consider having a conversation with Michael Francis if he ever invited you to the show. Look, I don't speak about any of these people, other content creators. In contrast to each and every one of them, with the exception of Francis, who've spoken about me. These are people who don't even know me and speak of things they heard, not what they know. As far as going on other people's platforms, my position is, why would I? As a former member of the Lucchese family, what is your assessment of the Rizzuto crime family in Montreal? I view Canadian organized crime, on a whole, as unorthodox. Here's why. They're known to let other organizations, such as non-Italians, into their fold. And when you do that, you're essentially making a statement that they're your equal. In New York, in comparison, no biker gang or street crew is equal to the mob. They always have and always will be considered inferior. With that point made, the Rizzuto family has a long history of violence from its inception up until present day. A multitude of people believe that the mob-related violence is the result of less harsher laws. I disagree with that train of thought. Canadian criminals act violently, and I've mentioned, with regard to mafia-related hits, the majority of which are carried out in broad daylight without any concerns. Here's a few personal questions. Did you like high school? Did you play sports? Were you popular in class? Or did you keep low key? And were you a good student? I think most high school students are not fans of school in general, and I was no different. I played organized sports, but not in high school. I was a quiet student and kept my circle small. Academically, I was less than average. Not because I wasn't capable, I just put zero effort into it. How many of us, if we could transport ourselves back to high school, would do it in a heartbeat? I wish I knew then how crucial and important a good education was. It's a lecture that I often give to my youngest daughter, and I'm proud to say she's an excellent student. I'll end this video by addressing two questions with one answer. Throughout the history of the Lucchese family, a pattern of betrayal is evident. Were you aware of this fact as a young associate? You've talked about the moratorium on murders within American Cosa Nostra. Why were they going to make an exception for you? When you noticed that you were being surveilled, do you think it was to kill you or give you a beating? If you haven't liked this video yet, please take the time now and give it a like, as it helps with YouTube's algorithm. Anyone who'd like to show their appreciation for videos like this, or more importantly, help me to continue making them, you can donate with the Super Thanks icon down below or through the PayPal Cash App links in the video's description. Let me quickly mention my blog, also called Sit Down News, especially for those of you who still enjoy reading. The site can be found at sitdownnews.com and is a paid subscription. Okay. To start with, I was never a young Lucchese associate. I was around 43 years old and was an associate for less than a year. At the time, I was unaware of the extent of the family's history with betraying its members. Although one person told me that the Brooklyn faction was infamous for killing their own friends, and this was right before my induction. There is, and always has been, a narrative as to me. I've heard it all. I was delusional, paranoid, I'm a mental case, and all those things that push a much-needed version. So let's look at some facts. I look in the mirror and put my head on the pillow every day and night with no problem, knowing that it was my former so-called friends who betrayed me. Think about this. Let's say, in the office of the XYZ company, certain workers call their coworker Frank a rat. What's the worst that could happen? They shun Frank, whisper behind his back, no one sits next to him at the company's Christmas party. But now let's put Frank in the mob with that same label. Totally different story. In fact, it's night and day. Would you agree? Now I want all of you viewers with the functioning brain, not ones that are clouded with the narrative being pushed by haters. I want you all to become Frank, a Lucchese member who's been labeled a rat, even if it's a false label. Now, Frank, you've been a member of the family for 5 years, and you're a loyal member. And you've come to learn the negative history of your family. At the time this label was placed on you, the very people who were involved in the history of these betrayals, hence killing their friends, are now in power. And this label is the worst possible label imaginable. You go to a family wake one night and everyone's treating you like you have the plague. Do you run to the FBI? No, you arm yourself. Then you catch 2 guys laying on your house. But there's much more that takes place. Meetings, things that are said or told to you, even warnings. What do, Frank? Do you now go to the FBI? No. You leave the state for about 2 months, come back, and you keep your distance. The Lucchese family even sends a message that they've made a huge mistake. But the position that you take, Frank, is that how could you ever trust these people again? For example, one of your dear friends foolishly admits to you that he told people that they have to use shotguns on you because you stay strapped, which equates to at least one confirmed conversation about killing you. But even with all that knowledge, do you now go to the FBI, Frank? No. You keep your distance, but more crucially, you send a message to the acting boss, essentially telling him, no harm, no foul, let's just part ways. You don't have to worry about me, and I wish you the best of luck. Nonetheless, the Lucchese family continues to hunt you. You chase guys through the streets because the people they're sending are amateurs, and some are even gang members. There comes a point, Frank, where you need to make a decision because there's only going to be 2 outcomes. You're getting killed or killing people and spending the rest of your life in prison. So the final question I have for you, Frank, is not what do you do, but do you take a chance with your life?